I was by my rabbi in Yerushalayim, at Peretz, and I asked him for more time than he normally gives people. I said, "I'm here. I'm from America. We have to spend some more time together." So he gave us a total of maybe 7 or 8 hours of his time.
Wow.
We took a few days in a row, and just the whole morning without parents. Every day. We came in, we sat down with him, we spoke with him, we learned with him. And I came out of those meetings very depressed. Very depressed. Very enlightened and very depressed. I'll tell you why.
Are you saying two things, enlightened and depressed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I was enlightened by him
Yeah.
and depressed by him as well, but the depressed came because I was enlightened.
Yeah.
I'll explain.
That's great.
You know, when I sat with Rav Peretz, the closest feeling, it's like the closest I feel to Moshe Rabbeinu giving the Torah on Mount Sinai. I mean, that is my link in the chain, and that is my source, and that is my fountain, and that is everything that I have comes from there. And the Torah that I share with you and that we learn together in the Knesset or anywhere else is all just reformatted, rephrased, rethought, repackaged by myself. So things that I have felt or added or based upon there. But at the end of the day, his Torah is what flows through my veins. And I used to think at the beginning when I came to yeshiva that he was a halachist. Rav Peretz is all about halakha. And it's true. I got this like halakha bug there when I was in with Rav Peretz, but it's not true. It's not only halachot, because we don't normally study halachot there, and we study other things, and there are other things that are more important. Sometimes we'll tell Rav Peretz, but halakha says you should do that. How can we do it otherwise? The other way. And he'll tell me there's something more important than that halakha. I'll tell you in a second. And I then thought maybe perhaps his way of life was ethics, morals. And then I realized that sometimes there are things that are more important than ethics or morals. And I used to think that his whole Torah was about being lenient. Well, where are we going? And I found out there are things that we're much stricter about than anybody else. So it can't be that we're being lenient. And I went through a whole list of things that I thought, until the conclusion was very obvious that when I asked Rav Peretz, so what's more important than this? They told me the truth. The truth. I'll give you an example. We were talking about the Shulchan Aruch, and I have a whole chapter in my book that we have absolute loyalty to the Shulchan Aruch. There's one halakha that we were speaking about, and Rav Peretz says he reads something into the Shulchan Aruch, but I don't think it's so simple to read into the Shulchan Aruch. It's making Rabbi Yosef Karo say something that I don't think Rabbi Yosef Karo said. I said, so Rabbi, why don't you just say that you disagree? It's because we have to follow Shulchan Aruch. But the Shulchan Aruch isn't saying what you're saying, so you should change what you do. And he told me no. He says the truth is more important than listening to Rabbi Yosef Karo. You have to follow the truth. So the truth here, I think that the truth is like that. And that's where I was enlightened. Because we've been talking here about the truth and the truth and the truth, and how far does the truth go? The truth goes till the ends of the universe. There's no end to the truth. And the truth is very attractive. It's very hard. The truth hurts. Truth hurts. Sometimes we would much rather tell people things that were not true, that'll make them feel good, than things that are true and maybe shake them up. Sometimes you meet somebody and they think something, and I'm not going to shake up his worldview. I'm not going to shake up her life. Just let them, as the Rambam says, ten lo shi'amod b'shtuto. Let him stand in his shtut, in his foolishness. But the truth is the most important thing we have. Hashem is the truth. So Hashem signed the whole world with the truth. Everything is truth. The Hebrew alphabet, we said, starts with an aleph, ends with a taf. The middle letter is a mem. Emet, the truth. That's Hashem signed the universe with his emet. Bereshit, bara, Elohim. The last three letters, Bereshit, taf, bara, aleph, Elohim, mem, emet. Hashem started the Torah with emet. If you take a pencil and you go through the entire Chumash, almost every pasuk you'll find, either the first letters or the last letters spell out the word emet, the truth. It says, "V'limadatam," what is it? Siddur. We say to teach our children. ולימדתם אותם את בניכם. We say that we have an obligation to teach our children Torah. What does the Torah? What does it say? Does it teach them Torah? What does it say? ולימדתם? ולימדתם אותם. You should teach them et benechem, your children. When they sit, when they stand, they should always be studying Torah. But if you look at the letters of v'limadetem otam, otam is letters of
Aleph, Taf.
Emet, Aleph, Taf, Mem. The same letters as Emet. V'limadetem, take the Taf and the Mem of v'limadetem, and the first letter of Emet also. Take the v'limadetem otam et Mem, Aleph, Taf, Emet. Hashem saying the only thing you need to teach is truth. Truth. That's the only thing that counts. I'll tell you, that's why I was depressed. Because I spoke to Rabbi Peretz. This is fascinating. In the whole world, you're supposed to teach the truth and value the truth, and that's what Hashem wants from us. And we spoke about an ideal world and how the world would look if it was full of truth, and the way people would treat each other, and the way a beautiful place. And the depressing thing was to see what happens to a person who tries to be an Ish Emet. What happens to that person who tries to be a person of truth. And like the Rambam says, even if the whole world will stand up and say that I'm wrong, says the Rambam, I'd rather be an ish merivot in kol ha'olam, I'd rather be a man of war with the whole world than to be a liar. I'd rather stand in my truth and the whole world should hate me. That's the Rambam tells us. That was his letter, he wrote it to his students. That's the most important thing that counts. And I sat with our parents at the time, and I saw a broken person. I saw my Rebbe was like the Luchot after they were broken. Because the world doesn't like truth. The world doesn't like truth, the world doesn't appreciate truth. And more often than not, our Jewish world doesn't like truth. Because the more we get to the truth, the more people lose their power. Because if there's truth, so who are you? And if there's only Hashem, then what are you? And if the Torah is what makes rules and not the principal of the school or the rabbi of the community or the head of the Beit Din, whoever it is, then what are you good for? So the farther I can deviate people from the truth, the more I can get people to believe in me and make me as somebody. And it turns out that when you push the truth, you're actually stepping on very many people's toes. Because the truth takes away people's power over people. Takes away people's control over the masses. And I saw for Rav Peretz what happens when you try to be a man of truth. Rav Peretz was supposed to be the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, but because his truth didn't happen. But it's okay, because if he had to be the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, he wouldn't be able to be a man of truth anymore. Because when you're a politician, you have to be a politician. Rav Peretz had a synagogue for 40 years. He was the rabbi of a synagogue. Want to hear a story? He was rabbi of a Beit Knesset, and there was a small group of Hasidim that, not Hasidim like as a whole, specifically these were Breslov Hasidim. Why am I mentioning Breslov Hasidim? They don't have a rebbe. There are Hasidim that have a rebbe, they have someone to keep them in line. These Hasidim per se didn't have a rebbe. And they're not representatives of all of the Breslovers. I'm sure their Breslovers were not like that. They asked him if they could sit outside in the backyard of the synagogue to have Sudash Lashit every Shabbat. So, okay, what could be the problem? So they used to sit there Sudash Lashit 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Then they asked if they could make a Mincha Minyan in the ladies section of the Beit Knesset. And they were there. And a year ago, for Rosh Hashanah, he came to the Beit Knesset to open up on Shabbat morning, and they changed the locks. They changed the locks. And they won't let him in. His own shul, they won't let him in. 40 years, been the rabbi for 40 years. So he takes the security camera footage. Sees the rabbi of this group of people came into the shul and said, see the Aron Kodesh? Rip it out of the wall. You see those Sidurim? Throw them in the garbage. You see those? Destroyed his Beit Knesset. And now for the last year he's been in and out of court, the Jewish court, secular court, back police officers suing this, that people. Unbelievable.
So what's the reason behind it?
They wanted a Beit Knesset. They wanted a Beit Knesset from him.
It's
Control. And so when he was in court, I came to see him the day he was at court. And he sat in the courtroom and he asked the judge if he could speak without on the record, but just without a lawyer. So he turned to the lawyer from their side, from the Breslov side. I told him, I want to tell you, which is very simple. He said, there's a special place in Gehenna for you. He said, I don't care what your job is. I don't care that you're a lawyer and you have a job to protect people. He said, you know that they're thieves. He said, you know that they're liars. That doesn't give you a right to stand up for them. Doesn't give you a right to stand up for them. And the judge ruled in her parents' favor. But they refused to leave the building. So, it's been a war, back and forth. Back and forth.
The judge, whatever the judge says, it means nothing.
Happens everywhere.
Yes.
Someone told me now that a judge ruled in their favor in a financial matter, but you have to go get the money.
Yes.
So what if the judge helped? What did I do?
Mafia to do that.
So, I don't mean to depress you, but I saw from my Rebbe what is it like to try to be a person of truth, and it's not so popular. It's not so popular. So I told him, so maybe we should reevaluate our value system. Maybe we'll be something else. We'll go make up a different value. Not the truth. We'll go somewhere else, right? Maybe it's better. Like somebody once said, we're done being the chosen people. Hashem can choose somebody else now, right? We're sick and tired. Enough Holocausts and inquisitions and pogroms and everything else. It's not worth it. Because the truth is worth everything in the whole world.
Oh.
The truth.
My next question was, how do you feel about it now?
The truth is more important than everything else. So that we came back from Israel with a few really good ideas and projects and things like that, and I hope to bring them up to discussion as soon as they're ready. But certain things I'm holding back on. For example, Rabbi Peretz told us exactly how we could turn a swimming pool into a kosher mikveh. It would take me
a lot of water and rainwater.
about 2 days.
Oh.
2 days and 2 guys who know how to do pipes. No rainwater. The kosher mikvah. Obviously, during the week when you have a rainwater mikvah, you should go there. But on Shabbatot or on holidays or things happen, so you have to be responsible for the people in the community. And then Rabbi Peretz told me, okay, now that I taught you exactly how to do it, you can't do it. I said, why? Because it's true. I said, but it's true, so I'm going to do it. He said, because if you make a mikvah out of a swimming pool, I said, do you know what's going to happen to you? He said, you don't have enough problems already? He said, you want everyone else in town to say you don't have a kosher mikvah? He says, you can't do it. I said, well, what about the people? He says, sometimes you have to hold back your truth so you don't get in trouble. Can you believe that?
No. No.
Yeah, we all go through those.
We all do it.
Yeah, but we always strive for the truth. We don't strive to get along with other people.
We can strive for the truth.
Because they're the majority.
We can strive for the truth.
Because that's what it is. He's against the majority.
We can strive for the truth, but in every field of life, you find yourself, if you're a mother of kids and the kids fight, you can't tell the parents about their kids. You can't. There are many, many times where you beat your tongue and you can't say what you have to say.
I just
you keep your distance. No, you can't.
I bite my tongue, but I tell the truth.
So how do you bite your tongue and tell the truth?
No, I don't say anything. I don't say anything.
So it's still not telling the truth.
I'm not verbally telling the truth.
To tell someone, you hurt my feeling. People cannot deal with confrontation. People have a hard time. We all go through this.
I think personally, because
it's optimal, but it's not.
But
realistic.
I think also that it's very difficult when you say the truth, because the truth can look to one side one way and to the other side
it's a perception.
the other way.
The truth could be
Everybody's got their own truth.
That's right.
Everybody's got their own interpretation.
That's right.
Yeah,
but what Tamar is saying that once it's your own truth and it's not really truth, it's your own truth.
Right.
It's an opinion.
Right.
It's your perception. You say this is correct, and for you this is correct, but to the other person the exact same thing. They see it in a different way.
So I usually preface, and I go out on the limb a lot, and I say, I'm going to give you my not to be humble opinion. And that usually kind of calms people down, because I am giving them the truth, but
you
it's
phrase
my
it as
truth,
opinion.
and I don't know if it's their truth
You
or
don't
the
say
truth.
you say opinion. That's
So
already
that's why I
makes
call it
it
my
much
not to be humble opinion. And they can take it what they want, or, take it or leave it.
How many truths are there?
there's a lot of truth, but
As
the
many
thing
as
is coming
there- as
from
many
your-
as human beings.
Eventually, there must
You're
be
right.
only one.
You're right. You're right. What's that?
You're saying two different things.
Right.
What is
As many as there are people,
Right.
no, even-
or
more,
Eventually,
or more.
ultimately, there must only be one, because truth isn't indivisible in some ways. But the way we see it in this world, I guess, is not the ultimate.
It's just people.
Right, because we are limited
Right, we're not privy to everything.
by our prejudices, perceptions, feelings, limitations, many things.
Well, truth is a perception.
perception.
It is.
But Rabbi, the Torah is the truth, but the way it's being explained from the different point of view of rabbis, and now the perception that each one of us hears it is interpreted differently as well. So now it becomes different truths based on perception as well. So what is
are those truths though?
it's perception.
It's not true.
It's perception.
See, there are those who like to say, I once had a discussion with a rabbi about this, that there are truths and there's an absolute truth. And that truths make up what's called an absolute truth. But every truth has its own truth, even if it contradicts a different truth.
True. That's true.
See, a lot of people like that idea. It's like the husband and wife that came to fight. So they came to the rabbi, they were fighting with each other. The rabbi says to the husband, "You're right." Tells the wife, "You're right." So the rabbi comes, "How could they both be right?" Says, "You're right also."
You're right.
Yeah. How could they all be right?
Just being neutral.
Can they really all be right?
There are different sides. There are different sides to
It
everything.
doesn't resolve the actual issue when everybody's right.
No,
Finding the
that has to be resolved. Are they all?
Finding the truth. We're not finding the truth if everybody's right.
It's their own truth. To yourself be true.
But to get along, if you're talking about husband and wife now, to get along, it doesn't resolve. So you're right and you're right, but
Right, so
but
we
it's
don't know
not.
the truth.
But it's not, because tomorrow they will have the same thing because he's right and she's right, and they will quote
But
the rabbi
for
that said
some
that.
guys, sometimes being
Show 'em the
kind is
truth.
more important than being right.
From the rabbi point of view.
You are doing what?
Many points of
What'd you
view.
say? I didn't hear
At
what
that
you-
moment,
Any point of view, you can.
but
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to be kind. Sometimes
That's a good
this
question.
opinion is correct. It's not going to get.
What happens when Shalom and Emet are fighting each other?
so tomorrow
What do you
we've
do?
got the same situation again.
Oh,
We
it
haven't
says
done
that it's
anything.
through
They should find- it should be pretty
amazing.
Someone has.
What?
Show them in the truth.
Not always. Not always.
Compromise.
Well, not that everybody's
Says it.
going to agree with
Based on maybe.
both of them.
By the way, this is a good question.
You're right and you're right.
But this is a good question.
question.
Yeah, that's a famous cut square over there. What happens? Truth and peace. If something is peaceful, is that necessarily the truth? If there's shalom, is that the truth? Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says. See, I mentioned some of his Hasidim for bad, but he's a big time. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says that if you're in a town and you see that everyone gets along with each other, he said you should know there's no bardat in that town. There's no person who's a Torah scholar in that town.
Yeah, and that's weird.
He says, how could that be? He said, because if everyone's getting along with each other, that means there's nobody here who cares enough about the truth. And that's why they're all b'shalom.
Yeah, but is the shalom a more important value than the truth?
Sometimes it is, no? Like
I think
in marriage, it
I think
definitely
so.
is.
Can you do me a favor? You see that middle bookshelf? 2 shelves down. Middle bookcase, 2 shelves down. 1 shelf down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a gold book all the way on the left. There's 2 of them. They're identical.
Yeah.
Gold, yeah, that's gold writing on it. I mean, they'll have gold writing on it.
Yeah.
It's like a brown book with a gold letter. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, one more to the left. Yeah, there you go, that one. No, just one.
Are they identical?
Yeah. One's mine, one's my wife's. I didn't read all the books have gold writing. The Midrash tells us the following thing. There's a Midrash. It's the collection of our rabbis' teachings on the Chumash. Bereshit, Shmot. It's called Bereshit Rabbah. Shmot Rabbah, Vayikra Rabbah. Every book has a Rabbah. That's the Midrash. The Midrash tells us, B'shah sheba HaKadosh Baruch Hu livrot et Adam HaRishon. That's what Rachel was quoting. At the time when Hashem decided to create Adam HaRishon, the first man, נעשו מלאכי השרת כיתים כיתים וחבורות חבורות. The angels split up into groups. מהם אומרים אל יברא. Some of the angels said don't create man. ומהם אומרים יברא. Some said create man. They had a dispute. Should we create man or should we not create man? Chesed אומר יברא. The attribute of chesed, of kindness, said create man. Why?
Is that an angel chesed?
So again, is it an angel? It's a
responsible or in charge of chesed.
This whole story it's a mashal. It's not. I mean, did the story actually happen? It's an idea. So the idea that's called chesed came and said, create man. Why? Shugomen chasadim, because man does kindness. Man is capable of many kind deeds. Create man. Emet omer al yivra. Emet says, truth says, don't create man. Why? Shekulo shkarim. Because man is full of deceit, full of lies.
Well, there you go.
Tzedek omer.
I would agree with.
Righteousness, justice says, create man. Yivra. Shuo said tzedakot, because man does many righteous and just things. Shalom omer. Shalom says, al yivra, don't create man. Peace says, don't create man. Dekulei ktata, because man is full of war and fighting. So you have here chesed and tzedek, righteousness and kindness, both want to create man, but emet and shalom both say don't create man. So here you find that truth and peace agree with each other. Ma asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
That's great.
What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Natal emet, he took the truth, v'hishlicho la'aretz, and he threw it on the ground to get out of here. Hadahu dichtiv, that's what it says in the Torah. V'tishlach emet arza, he threw the truth to the earth. The angels say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all of them together. Ribbono Olamim, Hashem, ma ata mvazeh tachsis al tichsaya shlecha. How can you get rid of, says Rashi, your seal? Emet is your only character trait. How could you throw that on the ground? It's like taking your Torah and throwing it on the ground. This is your whole value. So, Ta'ale emet min haaretz is bring up the truth from the earth again. This is Hadahu dichtiv. That's what the Torah tells us, emet me'eretz titzmach, that the truth will sprout up from the earth. Hashem brought back the truth to the picture as well. The whole story is crazy. The whole story is crazy. So should you create man? Should you not create man? Peace and truth told you don't create. Why do you listen to these two over those two? Why do you end up creating man? Why did you get rid of Emet? Emet wasn't the only opponent. The truth wasn't the only opponent.
I read something that with a little bit of truth we can live, but we cannot live with a little bit of shalom or the opposite, right? Something like that.
Close, yeah.
It's maybe that we should find the truth. We should work for it. We should strive for it.
But the truth doesn't want us to exist.
But can you have chesed?
No, but Hashem wanted us to exist, obviously.
Well, not obviously from this story. You're right. Obviously from Hashem's point of view, but not from this point of view.
Can you have chesed and tzedek without shalom and emet?
Yeah,
if you
sure.
don't have shalom, can you have chesed?
Sure. You can do a nice deed for somebody who you don't like.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, that's a different story. But you could do it.
Doesn't matter. It's doable.
But didn't you just say that
If you don't have those qualities within, if you've got two opposites, how long can a person actually do good deeds and chesed if there's no shalom? How long will I continue to give you that if you're throwing it back at me?
Look at the United
What's shalom?
Ariella, look at the United States and Israel.
Right.
They continuously give.
Yeah, but there's okay, but
It's giving because
That's because we're Jewish. We like free things. That's because we're
But there's
Jewish.
also an interest, okay? There's something for United States.
That's
So
exactly the
there's a
point.
using
No,
here.
so you can have very nice. You can have chesed that has it's an interest-based chesed. You're doing kindness only because you have what to gain. That's still a chesed. It's not truth, but it's still a chesed.
Is that chesed?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one very shallow, very shallow.
Doesn't
No
matter.
meaning. We took away all the goodness of the chesed that you want to do.
Doesn't matter.
You go to a restaurant every week. Yeah, you go to the restaurant every week, and you tip the waitress every week. Why? Because you know she's going to be there next week when you come. You want more food. You want better service. There are people I spoke. They go to restaurants all the time. I don't know what it's like. I grew up in San Diego, but there are people that have like this place they go to, and so they know once they know he's a good tipper. Suddenly, when they come in, so you're not really you're doing a chesed. The waitress is happy. She feels like every time you come she gets $50, but you're getting something out of it.
That's not chesed.
You know,
Yeah, sure it is a chesed.
Chesed is very easy.
there are
If you ask
levels.
somebody, it's anyway natural that you want to give. Chesed is hard when
You have
it's not
few
so
levels
easy.
of giving tzedakah. You can give tzedakah with the highest level, with love, with kavanah, whatever, and you can give tzedakah without.
You have to.
The poor person who gets the tzedakah doesn't care if you like to give or not, but you still give.
Can we go back
He
to
still
the,
benefit.
this one? Exact deletion. Can we go back to the Midrash? Is that what I'm
Yeah.
asking? So Hashem sent it out into the where?
Threw it like on the floor.
No, but what does it say?
Yishlich emet arza to the world.
Arza, not Adamah.
No.
But Hashem's making Adam from what he threw in the Arza. It's going to grow.
That's
It's
interesting.
going to be.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. Harav Peretz told us pshat here. This is why Harav Peretz's book, and one of them. Harav Peretz told us that the real understanding of this midrash is, in truth, man never really does chesed. Never does anything kind. Never does anything righteous. There's always an ulterior motive.
There you go.
It could be a minute ulterior motive. Meaning it could be, there is someone saying, I'll give tzedakah to the homeless people, so God forbid, if they're ever homeless, maybe somebody will give to them. So they're not actually going to get something back from that specific homeless person. But they only give charity to homeless people on the assumption they're going to train everyone else to give charity, so that if they're ever in a bad situation, someone will help them out. That's a very far removed ulterior motive, but that's still an ulterior motive. It's not chesed because I want to do chesed because Hashem told me I should do chesed. What our parents was telling us, says the Midrash is telling us, Hashem said the emet, it can't be my emet. Because my emet, man will never be able to handle my truth. Because you have to be so pure and so sincere and so honest, and the world doesn't, people are people. People are people. So Hashem says, you're right, emet is so important to me, but I'm going to throw it arza. I'm going to say emet should live in the realm of this world. When someone does a chesed, they give someone something, and their motives, it's an ulterior motive, but it's not a bad ulterior. It's not I want to use them next week. It's just, they have a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. Says on Peretz, Hashem says, I'm willing to take that emet also. I'm willing to lower my standards on emet, and let the emet exist in this world. Not in that world, in this world. And that's pshat, that's the understanding. Hashem said, I'm lowering the emet a notch so that mankind can be good, so mankind can be truthful also, even in a very removed level from the way Hashem does. But the Kutzker Rebbe, Rebbe Menachem Mendel of Kutz, has a whole different approach, and that's the approach I wanted to get to because of what you asked. Amar Admor Rabbi Menachem Mendel Nikotsk. The Kutzker Rebbe says the following. You were hinting to this. Ma'asayim HaShalom. Hashem throws the emet down, but what about the peace? The peace also said, don't create man. So what about the peace? Why didn't Hashem throw that down? Shigam hu itnaged. It also was opposed to creating man. Says the Kutzker Rebbe, Ela kshezorkim et ha'emet, na'asa memei l'shalom. He says, once you get rid of truth, there's always going to be peace. Because if nobody has any passion, nobody has any principles, nobody has any values to stand on, so what are they going to fight over? Obviously there's going to be peace. Everyone will get along with each other. Nobody's going to say, I'm right. Why? Because nobody cares about truth. So when nobody cares about truth,
There's no right.
nobody cares about being right, and therefore everyone's peaceful with each other. Says the Kutzker Rebbe, that's why once Hashem got rid of Emet, He solved all the problems. So there's another side. Ve'od, k'shishlich Emet arza, when He threw down the truth, nishar HaShalom ke'echad neged shnayim, ha'chesed v'hatzedek. So once you got rid of, it was 2 against 2, right? So once you get rid of 1, so it's 2 against 1, who wins? The 2. Says the Katzker Rebbe, what's the obvious question? If that's what he wanted to do, because he didn't have to throw Shalom, because now it's 2 against 1, anyways the 2 would have won. So what could you ask?
Why the truth and not
Oh, very nice. You just throw away the peace. Why throw away the truth? It's also going to be 1 against 1 if you leave the truth to stand up against the 2 of them. Says the Katzker Rebbe something else. Tell me what you think he's going to say.
That's why I said that we can't live without a little bit of truth, but you can live with a little bit of peace.
Oh, so that's you. But the Katzker Rebbe has a different answer.
No, it's not me. I read it somewhere.
Okay, so
Shalom Bayit. Is Shalom Bayit more important? We just discussed it.
No.
Shalom Bayit is more important than the truth.
Bring that up in a second. Please remind me about Shalom Bayit. Our parents just spoke about it on Thursday. Tell me though about 2 against 1. You know what the Katzker Rebbe says? Says the Katzker Rebbe that when you have 2 against 1, they win. Unless the minority is the truth. In which case, you can never win the truth.
Right.
Because the truth is more important than any majority that's ever going to be. So Hashem knew that as much righteousness and justice is going to stand up against the truth, it doesn't make a difference, because the truth is always going to win. That's why Hashem had to get rid of the truth. And he could leave the Shalom. Because the Shalom is going to lose out when it's 2 against 1. But the truth will never lose out.
So wait, this is Rabbi Peretz?
So this is one of the books Rabbi Peretz. We just got
He's quoting the Katzker Rebbe.
the Katzker Rebbe. We just got the green light, my wife and I, to start a website of Rav Peretz's Torah. I wrote about it in an email. He's going to try to get us as much of his writings. He has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of booklets of his own ideas. He gave us the green light to be the ones to publish them for free online. And we're working on that. It's one of our new projects. So, God willing, this book, it's in Hebrew. I hope to every week take 1 paragraph and translate it, put it online in Hebrew and in English. That way people can learn it. I was once by Purim at Rav Peretz's house, and I heard him telling I don't want to say the name of another rabbi, a famous rabbi in Israel. They were talking. I was listening, like I shouldn't have been. And he told the other rabbi, he said, when I go to the Beit Din Shel, when I go to the heavenly court, I'm going to show them this book, and they're going to let me in. So they won't have to do anything else. Just this book. That's enough. The name of the book is The Truth, Straightforwardness, and Justice. That's the name of the book. Baruch Hashem. It's heavy duty stuff. But what comes after this whole story? Katzker Rebbe says you can never, it doesn't make a difference how many people argue with the truth is still right. The truth is still the truth. It doesn't mean that sometimes you bite your tongue. Of course you have to bite your tongue sometimes. Of course, we're speaking about it now. That's what, as soon as my boxes get unpacked and I have our papers, I'll be able to tell. We've been discussing when you can trick somebody who's tricking other people. That's what we've been talking about. But at the end of the day, the truth is the most important value. There's a rabbi who once said that in every generation, there are always a few people who understand. He said, always understand, even if you remain among the few. He says, it doesn't make a difference in the whole world. So what if the whole world is doing something? So what if all the Jews you know do X, but the truth is Y? So don't give up your truth because everyone else is doing something. You're not a peer pressure Jew. You're a truth Jew. When we make a bracha on the Torah, we stand up at the Torah, what do we say? Hashem chose us from all the nations of the world. That in and of itself, by the way, is that we're standing up against the whole world. Because if it's right when you say, oh, but everyone does, so how can, people always tell me, Rabbi, how could it be that you do this if everyone does like that? Everyone, there are 1 billion Christians in the world. So how could you be Jewish? There are so many Christians. What kind of argument is that? There are 1 billion Muslims in the world.
Actually, justify who we are. That's it. But that argument alone, I think, justify who we are, the fact that we survived until now against all odds.
That's Hashgacha Prati. That's a miracle. But what I'm trying to show, this idea of everyone does something doesn't hold any value. Because there's everyone who does things that you don't do. There are, yeah.
Your kid says to you,
Everyone else is doing it.
Right.
And who is it? It's the 2 kids in the class, right? And the 30 kids in the class, and 2 of them have suddenly every.
what does that make?
But this is an important thing. So if it really doesn't make a difference, then you can't let your worldview be bullied by other people. It has to be your truth. You also have a truth that doesn't change because what everyone else is doing. You have to have a truth. The truth has to be based on the Torah. Because what does the next line say? Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Torat emet. He gave us a Torah of truth. The Rambam, you should know, very often, no, I don't want to say very often enough, says things that contradict basic Jewish values that we have, because the Rambam says the truth is more important than what you believe. And for me, the truth is that's all that matters. The Rambam starts off one of his books. He has an introduction to Jewish psychology. It's called Shmona Prakim Rambam. The Rambam in the introduction says, I'm going to quote many non-Jewish philosophers in his writings. He said, and I know there will be many people who will refuse to read my book because I quote these people.
You like the truth?
He said, so what am I going to do? So I'm not going to tell you which one is said by a rabbi, which one was said by a philosopher. I'm just going to neglect to mention names. He said, why? That was to teach you a rule to kabel et ha'emet v'mi she'amar ota. Accept the truth from whoever says the truth. Doesn't make a difference what they are, where they come from. If it's true, it's true. The truth is absolute. So why all the talk about the truth? There was something I was going to tell you. The majority of the world, doesn't make a difference. It doesn't change our life. So you asked about Shalom Bayit. People, I hear this all the time in the street. You can lie for marital harmony, for Shalom Bayit. First off, our rabbis did say such a thing, but it's not what they meant. There are no halachic commentaries that say you can lie for Shalom Bayit. That's not pshat. What does it mean you can lie? Pshat for a different time. There's a whole chapter in this book about that line. It's not true. It's true, but it's not true the way people understand it. Think about it just practically. So, they say you can lie for Shalom Bayit. So you did something and you don't want your wife to know about it, so you lie to her. Okay, Shalom Bayit. You saved the situation, right? Shalom Bayit. How long do you think you'll be able to lie for?
That's right. It's momentarily. It's here.
The lies keep lying. We weren't talking about lies.
So then what's going to happen?
You forget.
You're going to forget. In order to lie, you have to have.
You have to remember.
You have to have a good memory. Because if you're lying and you don't remember what you said, I'll tell you, once happened to me. I once lied to somebody at a Shabbatim. It's Elul. You have to do tshuva. I was at somebody's house. At my first time doing Shabbat at someone's house in Israel, and they served gefilte fish for me anytime. Her son was in yeshiva for the first Shabbat this week. Yeah, sure. So I told them, I don't like fish. I don't like fish. Oh, okay. So if you say you don't like gefilte fish, suddenly it becomes a whole drama. How can you not like gefilte fish? Why not like gefilte fish? So I said, I don't like fish. Bichlal, I don't eat it.
That's not a lie.
So you were kind.
I do. It is a lie. Because I like to eat fish, but not gefilte fish.
It was kind.
Okay.
Tamar's right. It wasn't. She's right. It wasn't a lie. But remember what we said before we left.
Lie. It was a little lie.
What dictates if it's a lie? What you're saying, or how it's perceived? They perceived I don't like any fish. I wasn't lying. You said fish. I didn't tell you what kind of fish I don't like.
I just said I don't like fish.
They're fish.
So
Fish.
the problem was a few months later I was invited back to their house.
And
they served salmon and I ate it.
What happened to you?
And they came over and said, we thought you didn't like fish. I'm like, oh right, they didn't like fish. I should have remembered.
Oh, now I do.
And in retrospect, I just said like, I don't know, I don't want to eat. Whatever, I shouldn't have made something up that I wasn't going to remember.
Because it catches up.
It's going to catch up to you. So let's go back to the situation. Our rabbis say you can lie for the sake of truth. So you lie to your wife or husband about X. And a month later it catches up to you.
The rabbi will be a liar.
And not only does it catch up to you, what happens? So today it's terrible. And now they don't believe anything you've said since the last time you said something. So what piece did you get out of it?
Nothing. Worse.
Nothing.
Worse is right. Worse.
So whoever tells you can lie for the sake of truth only wants to destroy your relationship. It's true. Sometimes you don't have to say everything. There's something you think it's not going to go over well.
Less is more.
Just don't talk about it. But to actually say something that's a lie, an active lie, why would you do that? It's not going to help any relationship. At least not a healthy relationship.
It could hurt more than help.
I remember there was when I was dating, so someone came to give me dating advice. Said, whoever you get married to, you should know the most important rule about marriage is don't tell your wife everything.
Was it secular or religious?
Religious, obviously.
Well, he was a religious guy, but it doesn't mean his worldview was religious.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more secular.
He said, you have your own life, she has her own life, the things that you do together are together, but she doesn't have to know everything about you. Especially things that are from your past. He's right.
A lot of
Your
people
past,
say not to.
but I'll tell you the truth. Your past can stay your past, and it's true. You don't have to go into details about this and about. For example, a famous question was asked to Rabbi Yosef. A person becomes observant, and then they go out on shidduchim. 5 years into their being observant, they had 375 girlfriends before they became observant. Do they have to tell their wife about all of the girlfriends they ever dated? How about it says you have to be honest and say that you dated people before. He said, but it's not going to help your relationship if you now sit down for the next 3 months and tell her about every girl you ever. You imagine what's going to do to your relationship? He said, is that a lie? No, you don't have to say everything. I agree. But to actively, as part of the basis of your relationship, to not share things, maybe in an unhealthy relationship it's a good idea, but in a healthy relationship it's going to last for a very long time. It's going to catch up to you and it's going to destroy everything that a person has. And when we talk about truth is not as bad as it seems. But if I tell the truth, I'm going to hurt somebody. So tell the truth. Tell the truth in a smart way.
That's right.
Tell the truth in a gentle way. And if you have to go, please.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, let me have
See you at Ralph's.
Okay.
Come for lunch.
Thank you.
You say, of course. You actually know the Hebrew for have a beautiful day. The Hebrew for a person's allowed to lie for the sake of shalom bayit. And what the Hebrew line is? It doesn't say mutar leshaker.
יש מיליציה של...
לא להגיד.
No, what does it say? It says mutar leshanot mipnei hashalom.
לשנות מפני?
Mipnei hashalom. Because of peace,
To
change, tweak. You don't have to tell the whole story. Just tweak it.
You start tweaking and then you tweak more.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What I'm showing is that even according to those people who want to interpret what a rabbi said literally, they never said you can lie. Tweak. Lie? That's on your own achariyut. That's in your own account. And a person, it's a very important thing in general. So back to us. I know a lot of our group is missing, but this is they come. Who's back? Who's here? This is the main part. Truth is really important. We have to be seekers of truth. I mean, what is of value? So, Tamar, you're right. What you mentioned before. It's a little bit presumptuous to say the truth, with a capital T. The truth. Your truth is the truth. You're right. What about everybody else? And this again, the question: so are there many truths? Is there one truth? Are there?
My truth is my perception of what I say is true. I really feel it from my heart. Whether or not you believe it, I have no say in it.
I'm prepared to hear it though. Okay, I hear that that's what you're saying. I'm prepared to hear it.
A lot of people are not. A lot of people are not.
Correct.
Very close.
Though I will say, what I hear from you is it's my truth. I feel this way,
Right.
and it's pretty adamant. I say my truth is my truth, but I like to hear your truth, and maybe we can come to some kind of understanding what the truth is based on the source, because your perception is based on the source. My perception is based on the source.
Right.
Maybe we can find out how you came to your perception, I come to my perception to come to the truth.
But what happened though?
sometimes it's so far apart. I mean, you take somebody
Give
like
it a try, though.
a Hitler or a Hamas guy, the truth.
You're right.
I mean,
You're right.
You are right.
how are you ever going to?
But Ariella is saying something interesting though.
We're talking here. And we're
But if
not
you
right.
both have your own truths and then you uncover why you got to that truth, you're going to come out to only one of those two things being true. I'll give you an example. What color is the wall?
Gosh, there's so many colors of white and
Could we
it's
agree
cream.
on white?
it's cream.
Because
it's
eggshell and
it's
off-white and pearl
off-white,
and just white. Let's make it white.
Coffee, marmion.
Okay. What if someone comes in and says, this wall is red?
I tell him to go to the doctor.
Okay, and that's Hamas. Okay.
Wait, but they will swear to you that this wall, and it's not malicious. They don't see the wall's white and they want to pull your leg, right? They're telling you it's red.
Okay, but if according to the Torah this is white, and I'll put this against it now, we've got a lot closer now to come to this color than to come to a red.
Okay.
Would you agree?
But what if the person looks at
Because you say it's two Jews, and hopefully, basically, they say the Torah is the absolute. So let's see what.
But let's not go to the Torah yet. Again, let's back to just colors of the wall. We'll get to the deep perception. A simple idea. What if they look at your shirt and say it's white? It's red. That's red. So's the wall.
And that's the Torah. That's the source, though. That's the
No,
source
you
of the
feel
color.
I don't Torah. You think your shirt's white and the wall's white. They think your shirt's red and the wall's red.
But I like to go to the source all the time.
But there's no source. You're both looking at the same wall. Who's got the truth?
Okay,
That's okay. It could be that her red and my white are the exact same thing. She just calls her red and I call it white.
That's another way of understanding.
That's all. You were saying the exact same thing. We're just using different words.
No, we're saying the same thing. We're using different words. Right. So nice.
What did you do now? Now you just turned everything over on its
I
face.
don't know what the discussion is.
So the truth is, there's no truth according to that. Well, I see it this way, you see it that way.
No, you know what Vora actually brought up? Miscommunication based on her red is white and my white is cream. Okay, and we are miscommunicating on the same thing, on the same truth.
But there are general.
The problem though is if everybody says this is white and I say it's red.
And definitions of things.
You know, I always.
Do you know that I hate?
No, wait. I always tell my husband this when we discuss certain things that they say this lady calls her husband frantically on the phone. Be careful! I just heard on the news that there's a madman going the wrong way on the highway, and please just be careful. Watch out. He said, "Are you kidding me? I know I'm on the highway and I see thousands of madmen going the wrong way." You know, when everybody says one thing and you say something else, it's a question mark. You might be saying the truth.
I don't agree. That's what I don't agree with.
But
you missed this part.
I heard it. It doesn't mean you're not the right way. You have to really double check.
I'm gonna stick to what Rachel is saying here. And there are basic things. This is the color white. This is the color red. That's white. Okay. If someone tells me that that's red, and really they're saying, okay, we became philosophers right now, and I hate philosophy. You know why I hate philosophy? Because nothing is ever solved. Nothing's ever settled.
No, but there's
always room.
If you have the patience,
she's standing up for you.
Because you want peace. Because you want peace.
But isn't that the ultimate?
No, the truth is the ultimate.
No.
Let's find out why she says it's red.
Oh, here we go. So now this person goes to the doctor, like you suggested. And the doctor checks out their eyes.
You're colorblind.
The doctor checks out their eyes. They have Rahman al a disorder where whenever they see white, it's red.
Oh.
There's some kind of tinge to their eye, whatever it would be.
Okay.
And really,
glasses.
It's not that they think that when they see that wall, they see red.
Okay.
But who's right? What color is the wall? Don't philosophize. What color is the wall?
White.
It's white. So they have a disorder that doesn't make the truth that wall is red.
No, we didn't say that. I don't think Dross was saying that.
No.
For me, I was just arguing for the.
But if you will take that example
now
and try to implement it on something else, it's not going to get you anywhere because there are certain truths and certain definitions and
Okay.
So it is.
This is just the definition. What is red and what is white.
This here was by the way, also the discussion is definitely brought up in philosophy works, which is why I hate them. Can you really ever prove something? Every proof is based on an assumption. So, can you prove this is white? That's only going on the assumption that this is white. What does white mean? Who knows what white means?
Nobody knows that.
Right. So that's where you get to that point. That's why I don't like philosophy. Let's just deal with this is white, this is red. Fine. When it comes to our Torah, there's a story, and the story is the root of much confusion in Jewish thought. This confusion is about 500 years old. Before 500 years ago, Jews were sane.
They were what?
500 years ago, Jews went off the deep end. We were sane 500 years ago.
Same.
Same. Shfuim b'datam.
We've been going down the
You thought we'd be real the long time.
Ariel was like, what? To make a mess this big, you thought you would need 2,000 years. You only needed 500.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. See, when the Rambam wrote something, he didn't ever write, in my opinion, the truth is X, Y, and Z. Rather, when he said something, this is the truth. And when someone argued with him, like the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, he said, with all due respect to the Rambam, you're wrong. I'm right. It wasn't, in my opinion, his opinion, your opinion. Now we have 3 opinions. Now they're all right. This whole notion is ridiculous. So where did it come from that everyone's really right and they all have a truth and they're relying on somebody? You have on who to rely. Where does this idea come from? There's a Jewish.
No, I'll tell you.
There's a Jewish.
Person wanting to be very diplomatic, not necessarily.
No, there's a Jewish source for it. Ever heard the phrase ever? Elu. No. Those two, by the way, are not the same thing.
I know, but
Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim. These and those, they're both the words of the living God. They're both the words of Hashem.
When it's a mahloket l'shem shamayim, sofa להתקיים. Right? It's
but it doesn't say Elu ve'elu.
When you argue for the sake of heaven, for the sake of finding the truth, for the sake,
meaning
not
they're
for
only within the framework of Torah.
gain or honor.
Once you work out of it, it's not already Elu.
Let's tell you what this means. The source of this, most people understand this teaching to say, like whenever you'll tell somebody, oh, these guys do that, the Sfaradim do that, the Ashkenazim do that, the Chabanics do that, the Breslovers do that. Whenever you'll hear someone, the diplomatic person always says, Elu ve'elu. Both of them are the words of Hashem. Both of them are fine. They solve all the world's problems like that. That's not what the sentence means, though. The source of the story is in the Talmud of Masechet Gittin, the laws of divorce. There are 2 rabbis. I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I'm in there. I think Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Meir. They're both arguing. One said you should write the divorce like this. One said you should write it like that. And they were arguing which one is the way that Moshe Rabbeinu would have done a divorce. They were fighting and fighting and fighting. Suddenly, Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, walks into the Beit HaMikdash, into the house of study. Now this happens a lot in the Talmud. You'll see 2 people arguing. Suddenly, Eliyahu Hanavi shows up. This is called, in Kabbalistic terms, Gilui Eliyahu, a revelation of Eliyahu. This still exists in our days on a much lighter form than in the times of the Talmud. The last person who was recorded of having a Gilui Eliyahu was Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri, who passed away just 8 years ago. He took his students to the Kotel and said, this place is where I saw Eliyahu Navi. Okay. But in the Gemara it happened all the time, and it was like open. People saw these things. Eliyahu Navi comes to talk to them, and Rabbi Meir and Rabbi says, oh, Eliyahu, good you came in. Tell us, what's Hashem doing right now? He said, Hashem's learning Torah. Hashem's learning Torah. What is Hashem learning? He said, actually, he's in the middle of learning the different opinions between you and your study partner, between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Meir. And they look at him and say, are you crazy? Say, Hashem doesn't know the right answer? Ika sveka kame shamaya. Hashem has a safek. Hashem doesn't know. I'm right or he's right. We're in big trouble. And he says, no. Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim. Both you and him, they're both the words of the living God. Period. At the end of the day, when we write a divorce contract, we only follow one of those opinions. So maybe Hashem, how do you know? Maybe Hashem thinks both of them are true. Must be the definition of Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim. Both are the words of the living God. Doesn't mean that they're both right. It doesn't mean they're both the truth. It could mean that they're both words of Hashem. They both bring you closer to an understanding of what is the truth. Very simply, in logical terms, when you have one person who says X and one person who says Y, only one of them are right. 2 people look at the same wall, one says one says black, one says white, one says black. One of them is right. But when you have the other opinion, it's mechaded, it sharpens the other one to prove why he's right. And so that alternate opinion brings out the truth. Because you have someone pushing your buttons. You have someone who's making you prove that you're right. I've seen this very often. There are on the top shelf over there some big orange and red books. If you see them, they're the tallest books on the shelf. Those are letters from Rabbi Massas. Rabbi Massas in there. I don't need it. No, it's okay. Very often people will write him a letter and say, we read something you wrote in one of your books, it must be wrong. And this is why it's wrong. And Rabbi Masas will write back and say, with all due respect, your letter wasn't worth much of a response. But I'm writing back because since you brought up that point, you've actually given me a 10th way to prove why I'm right. And so I'm going to prove it to you in this letter also. And your opinion that argued with me was wrong. But the fact that you said it brought out a new truth from inside of me that backs up this absolute truth. That's what it means. Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim. They're both the word of Hashem because they both bring out the truth eventually. But not both of them are right. When the Rambam tells us that a certain parasha never happened, rather it was a dream. And the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman says, Rambam, you're wrong. You're right everywhere else, but here you're wrong. It's obvious that only one of them are right. One of them is saying it happened, one of them is saying it was just a dream. Uvda, by the way, in that parasha, the Ramban is right. Rambam is wrong. Rambam is wrong. Can't be that what he's saying is correct. Well, that's very not politically correct for you to say. Who are you to argue with the Rambam? I'm not. But if you sit down and you look at the truth, there's only one truth.
So what did he miss out?
He didn't miss out on anything. He had an opinion. But not just because someone important said something makes it true. It makes it a valid opinion, but not a truth. So it is presumptuous to say the truth. It is. The truth is a presumptuous term. But it's an important term. See, we live in a Judaism where you can't argue with anybody anymore. You can't argue with anybody because they must be right. And the moment you criticize something that they do, you hate them and you don't want to know them, and then it becomes a whole fight. When instead, in a different generation, 500 years ago, it would simply be two people trying to understand the truth. And the side that was proven wrong would say, you're right. You're right. We were wrong.
I think even 30 years ago. I think even 30 or 35 years ago. Maybe before your time.
Before, well, you're talking about maybe political correctness.
No, anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay, in Jewish literature, I see this. I see this as happening for the last 500 years.
It suddenly has become a personal fight instead of people's opinions.
That's right.
People don't realize you can fight the argument and not the person, and then it's okay. So you just showed me the logical answer. That's fine. Here it's suddenly you broke me down if you disagree.
It comes across like that, and it's really sad. I mean, the last parsha, I heard it from somebody in a certain way that they heard it, and it was basically it was tradition to put the girls out there in the war. So they can mislead the soldiers and entice them, and this way they can win the war. Mm-hmm. And I heard that. Actually, so I said it's fascinating. Those were my words, and I guess I did it wrongly. I said it's fascinating to me how different rabbis will explain things differently. And immediately I heard you are demeaning what I'm saying. I didn't say that. I said it's fascinating how rabbis explain, have different explanation, and I think the beauty of the Torah is that actually it's more than just one way. To me, that's what I see. It touches everybody wherever it needs to be touched.
So what's the truth?
So it's kind of like the story with the 5 blind men. You know the story with 5 blind men?
And the elephant.
And the elephant. They all tap one area, but they all have a piece of the truth, but they don't have the truth completely.
Okay.
But they have a piece, and if they put it all together, they would have the truth.
Right.
Which is why when you go to different rabbis, everyone's
right.
Not everyone. Some are just way over the mark.
But then that's only a piece of the truth. It's not the truth.
But it's better than not truth at all. And
but you have to
start it somewhere.
Sure,
we're not talking here about what's better and what's worse. We're talking about if
I like to think that
if I can say this is true, and that's not, with all due respect to the person who said it. I'll give you an example. Right. It's happening now. There's a Hasidic community who makes it their business that every Rosh Hashanah they leave their wives, they leave their children, they leave their families, and they travel out to Ukraine and spend their whole Rosh Hashanah by the grave of their rabbi. They pray in the cemetery, they eat there, they dance there, it's like an experience already. You have hundreds and hundreds of people whose wives are left behind, and not just left. It's not like they're sad about being left behind. Their wives are sending them. They're paying for their tickets. They're like, get out of here, go. I recently heard about this community that they have like women's only events in these days, just ladies. They do their own ladies run, and it's become this pilgrimage, not just for those Hasidim, but now it's become, Sfaradim are doing it, and other Hasidim are doing it, and the Lithuanian people who never even believed in this rabbi are doing it, and it's just like become this thing that if you go there, you will become a changed person. It's going to transform your life, because this rabbi said that whoever prays by my grave on Rosh Hashanah, I'm going to pull him out of hell by his pelt. I'm going to... Okay, fine. So the question is, what should our opinion about this matter be? And most people would say, it's not your business. It's not your business. That's what their rabbi told them to do. That's what they're doing. Good for them.
His wife agrees.
Yeah, if that's what they want to do, it's an individual thing. There's no right.
But what's the truth? Who says there's no right or wrong?
Where's Rosh Hashanah here? I mean, isn't Rosh Hashanah?
Rosh Hashanah is going to be with your rabbi's grave. It's an experience. Definitely, there must be, or else they wouldn't go back.
Isn't there halacha? But hold on, isn't there halacha how to celebrate Rosh Hashanah?
Very nice. There is a halacha how to celebrate Rosh Hashanah.
Does it say in the halacha that you have to do it with your children?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Every Jewish holiday, the mitzvah is, what does it say in the Torah? אתה ובנך וביתך עבדך ואמתך ועבדך ובתך אשר בשעריך. You have you and your wife and your children and your kids and your slaves and the converts and even the animals have. Everyone has to be celebrating together. Everyone has to be celebrating together.
I mean, isn't one of the things that they say that don't change it all the way from the source, because if you do, then that's why they're against the conservative and the reform, because they went and did the whole story by themselves. Those people are doing the same thing. They're doing Rosh Hashanah because somebody said that this rabbi is, putting them for wherever.
But if that makes them happy, why not do it?
Oh, it's happy now. It's good for
you. So here's the thing. You're right. The question is...
But that's a dangerous argument, because it makes people happy to work.
That's what they do.
That's different.
No, of course it's different than this. But I'm saying,
but it's not a good
if it makes you happy, it's not.
So when someone comes and asks a rabbi, according to the Torah, is this a right thing to do in Rosh Hashanah? Is it a right thing to do? See, today, if we were to express an opinion saying, no, it's wrong to do such a thing, so what happens to you?
That makes sense.
Suddenly you're the rabbi who hates this Hasidic group and you don't like them and you don't... But that's not the truth. That's not true. You like this Hasidic group, but you would disagree with one of the things they do, and you absolutely vehemently believe, you being me, that this contradicts everything our Torah asks us to do in Rosh Hashanah. Everything. So then am I not allowed to say that?
You could say anything you want.
But
that's your truth.
When then someone would accuse me and say, how could you argue with this holy rabbi? I'm not saying you should say it in a way. I'm not saying you should say it in a way that makes people feel like they're good for nothing and they're bad.
No,
You're not.
Since he is dead, we do not. This has become is like this big event, like Woodstock. Or
It's true.
Like this, right?
It's true.
That's not probably when the Rebbe said that. That's not what he had in mind.
So
now it's a big feast and everybody comes.
I was now in Yerushalayim. I was in Yerushalayim. And my wife has a friend who just married a Breslov Chassid. And his rabbi is one of the old school Breslov rabbis apparently in Jerusalem. I don't know him, and this rabbi says that he's a Breslov rabbi from a Breslov family, generations and generations of Chassidut. And he says you're not allowed to leave Yerushalayim for Rosh Hashanah. Since Rosh Hashanah, says your family, is when you were living next to Ummah. You're talking about it's a mitzvah to go to I don't know, La Jolla for Rosh Hashanah, because that's where you walk there, you walk back, you take her. He says, but today he says you're living in Israel.
But in the old days,
they go to pray.
Going from place to place was were days. People went to the Rebbe for holidays, right? It was customary.
But there are many Breslov rabbis, not enough, but many, who would say that this exists when we're talking about living outside of Israel. But today you're in Israel. Who said you can step out? So maybe in America you have this ability to live.
And we disagree on this, but that when it comes to arguing, for example, I can argue the theory of relativity from Albert Einstein, but my opinion doesn't carry as much weight as him because we're not on the same level. So when two people argue, they have to be contemporaries in order for the weight to really carry.
Absolutely.
So I think when you argue with the rabbi...
When Rabbi Nachman of Breslov argues.
But you're talking about people who I can give whichever opinion I want, but in the end of the day, it doesn't carry as much weight as the individual.
When Rabbi Nachman of Breslov
It wasn't the same situation.
argues with the Shulchan Aruch, with the Rambam, with the Gemara, with all due respect to Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, you're right. You're not a contemporary, so I'm not the one who's arguing. I'll be so far as to say the Breslovers who do it. He's your Rebbe. But people from our community who are going to do it, people from a different, you should have the other rabbis say, for them it's okay. Let them do whatever their rabbi told them to do. But you have to be able to say, in our community, you shouldn't do something.
But at least to be able to give validity to those who are truly Breslov and follow everything else, this is one of the things.
But you see,
clearly the Rabbi Nachman, and again, I'm not Breslov, I'm not coming from a Breslov background, but he clearly carries enough weight that those who really follow to the T what he said, in this element they're covered.
Is that the truth? No, it's not the truth. It's not the truth.
Well, but a lot of people go there who are not.
No,
I know that's
I'm not talking about in
essence what really happened.
That's not a truth.
What happens
Rabbi Yoni, if you pick a rabbi, and from what I hear, pick a rabbi, and whatever this rabbi, he carries it for you. So you tell me I have to go to Ukraine now. I'm going to Ukraine. I picked a rabbi.
Even if your rabbi tells you something that goes against what you believe is the truth?
I will not. Okay? But here in the community,
when it says pick a rabbi,
and if he tells you, I'm coming to him, and if he says, I said, this wasn't exactly kosher. Can we still eat it on Friday night? And he says, okay, you can do it this time because he knows how much work I did it, but don't do it again. He carries it on you. Oh, he gave me the permission to do it. It's okay. To me, actually, it doesn't make sense. But when I heard that,
it doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
See, my wife is operating on a model that's incorrect. Just because someone is great and they say something doesn't make it permissible to do.
I agree with that.
For anybody.
Agreed.
For everybody, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Agreed. But my clause over there is, in order for you to dispute it, you have to have enough weight carrying on the other side.
That's not. You're sure.
Okay,
so what if the weight? Let me give you an example.
Huh? Where are you going? Yeah, right.
I have to go.
Sorry, we're done. Pretty much.
No, I want to hear.
What if you go somewhere and you have a great example? Not the Hasidim who pray at 10 or 11. They're still in the morning. There are Hasidim who pray Shacharit at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There are such Hasidim.
Right.
Yeah? They pray Shacharit, morning services, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunset is 5:15. I don't know. They're praying 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And why do they do it? They didn't wake up one morning and decide they're going to do it. They have a big rabbi. Big is a big rabbi who prayed Shacharit at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So they say, listen, you could say whatever you want, but our rabbi prayed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to pray at 5 o'clock in the afternoon also.
Okay.
So what? That your rabbi says to pray at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But your rabbi has a rabbi. And his rabbi was the Moshe Rabbeinu. And his rabbi was the Gemara. And his rabbi said, you're not allowed to pray at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So the fact that he got up and changed Judaism, who said that your rabbi is right? He has a rabbi also.
It's got a good argument.
And it might be different, but it was okay for this rabbi to do it, but he didn't say that it's okay for everyone to do it.
There are such things where you see someone do something strange. And sometimes you'll see a rabbi, we find stories like this when we were learning about judging people favorably. Sometimes you'll see that the rabbi did X, Y, or Z, but the reason he did it wasn't because there was something else he had to do that allowed this to be permissible. Not for you to do it, and he wouldn't do it again either.
Right.
But that's a very good point. So now, because of that, I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to even make it okay to do it.
Right, but let me give you a different argument. Right, no, I hear that. But let's say you have a rabbi who, he purposely changed something, and he gave it over to his congregation and said, this is the change, and there's sufficient backing to why he changed it. You now come 500 years later, you never studied that history. All you see is this very weird model. So I would say there's a big question mark. I mean, you have to do a lot more research to figure out why and how it happened. Now, in your own life, no, you can't adapt to that, and you can't adopt it either. But if that rabbi had given over, and again, somebody who legitimate has weighed enough and told the congregation, no, this is when we, let's say, pray, this is when we pray for these reasons, they're able to follow that.
There was a rabbi.
Even if it disagrees with everything.
There was a rabbi who prayed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right, and he learned.
Was there ever a rabbi before him, ever, who prayed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
No. Right, so the question
so
is,
it's not. There's no sufficient. If you're telling me, for example, like we say, Ashkenazim and Sfaradim sometimes argue about something. and their origins go back to the Talmud. One Rabbi Meir said this, Rabbi Eliezer said that. The Sfaradim follow Rabbi Meir, the Ashkenazim follow Rabbi Eliezer. So over there, I'm going to say, listen, they're both. It's fair game. That's a fair argument, and each community is upholding what their rabbis understood from that Talmud. But to come out of the blue,
you're taking something.
but you don't have any precedent.
But you're taking somebody that has their own weight they can carry.
They don't carry enough weight to argue with their rabbi. That's the bottom line. No, you don't.
Can't you have differences of opinions with everybody?
Sure, but you have to have I could argue that
you can argue whatever you want, but practically you can't change.
You can, but if you change, you must bear the consequences of. I have now changed this religion, and don't expect me to accept it as being Jewish.
Okay.
For example, let's say that Moses Mendelssohn had the right to change whatever he felt like changing. He carried weight. It doesn't make a difference. I don't think he carried weight. His students think he carried weight. Yeah. So then they'll say, my rabbi told me to do X, Y, or Z. So what that your rabbi said to do X, Y? That doesn't make it okay. There has to be a truth here.
My mother would say, if your friend wanted to jump off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge? I mean, the same thing.
It's the same. Every mother got the same answer.
But the problem is in Judaism today, we've turned this into a free-for-all. Everyone who's big enough to hold his own weight, suddenly you have to respect his opinion.
There's a lot of people saying jump off. There's a lot of people saying because he's a rabbi, he told me to jump off, I will jump off.
So let's say he's not letting you jump off, just to do something that. But we've taken away from ourselves the freedom to be people of truth.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Right. And so that's why you always go back to the source.
Now, I'm willing to say there are places where the source isn't black and white. There are such places.
It's not.
And therefore, to tell me that there's the truth is going to be a problem. There are such places, and that's why you have difference of opinions. But if the difference of opinions are purely things that you don't have any right to say what it is that you said, so we're going to be in trouble. And we are in trouble. And that's Emet.